Good evening, and thank you very much for your patience there while I had some technical issues. I had to swap laptops actually. That's how fucking bad it was. But guys, welcome back to your Celtic Supporters Podcast. It's been a full week and it's been a bloody... It's felt like a week, Andy. I've got to say, mate, it's bloody felt like a week as well since we've actually had a good gab together as well. But anyway, how has your week been, brother?
I know bad, mate. I kept busy at work. Been busy during the week trying to sort stuff out, as you know, which we'll get into a wee bit later on. And just basically waiting for Celtic to announce the manager, which we eventually kind of seen that. So that's what I was waiting on. Still some other things to be sorted out as well in the background at the club. Is surprise. But aye, the World Cup starting also as well. So if you're into staying up to stupid o'clock in the morning, then it's ideal. But for people that have got to work during the week, that's just catching up with the highlights, I'm afraid.
Yes. And there is a lot of comments on the technical issues that I was having. I promise you it was technical issues with my equipment, not my equipment. You know, I wasn't doing jobbies or anything like that there. Just to show you my laptop as well. Me and Andy were on actually a phone call there because my microphone wasn't working. The laptop wasn't working. The microphone that I've got sitting here wasn't working. So yes, I had to fucking swap out laptops in order to go on as well. But here we are anyway, Andy. Here we are.
How you been anyway, Hoggy?
It's been decent, mate. I was down in Newcastle on Monday. And then I've had the rest of the week off. And it's been a week of absolutely doing fucking nothing. Absolutely doing nothing as well, which has been decent at the same time as well. But when you get to the weekend of a week of doing nothing, then you realise your weekend is a full weekend of doing nothing.
Exactly. See, to be honest with you, mate, my weekends are doing nothing apart from the pod. I hate doing anything. I've got to be honest with you. When I get home on a Friday, I just want to get home. I very rarely leave the house when I'm home. My car doesn't move. If I need to go anywhere, I jump in the missus' motor and she drives. Now, because I drive all week, I'm like, I can't be bothered with us, so I just jump in the passenger seat and we go wherever we're going. But in general, I don't leave the house. But I hear that way.
It would be decent enough because my contract at work is I work from home, so that's my contract is basically I work at this fucking desk. But I try and get out as much as possible as well. But again, I've not got any kind of stays in this house with me as well, so it's like it gets awfully boring sometimes as well. Not going to say lonely as well, but it certainly gets fucking boring talking to myself as much. But guys, we have myself, Andy, and we're just waiting for Paul's lovely picture to pop up here. It is a black stain just now. I think Paul's having technical issues.
Maybe he's still eating his dinner.
Yeah, but guys, the plan of attack, we did say to you last week that we've got some fingers and pies, let's say, and we're trying to get some extra content for you, and we'll get onto that in a wee bit because we have got somebody lined up for tomorrow, actually, where we will be going. Andy, you've done a lot of work on that as well. Do you want to go through that just now while we're waiting for Paul to come on?
Aye, of course. If I can just touch on something before that, I've got a couple of things today. We bit of sorting out today here. 2 seconds, I'll just get this up. So I was contacted on, we've got quite a big kind of phone on TikTok. So somebody had reached out to us, Pauline, her name is, this lady here. She was doing the Arctic Walk, which is part of the Celtic Foundation, on behalf of the Celtic Foundation. So if you're on TikTok, if you go into Pauline's, give her a wee follow as well. She needs some followers there. So go into Pauline's page, and I think it's the second video. In the comments, there's a link to the Just Giving to help her on her way to do the Arctic, which is a massive thing today. She did say to me, just to let you know, I'm a middle-aged woman that's now got hundreds of gym equipment in my living room, so she's training to go there. And also part of this thing as well is Gracie's have donated their premises for this event, and it's got Joe Miller, Frank McAvenny and Peter Grant, and it's Friday 21st of August. It's £20 a ticket. They're going to be hosting the event on behalf of this Arctic Walk and going towards that. If you go into Skiddle, you will actually be able to get tickets for that. And 20 quid is really quite reasonable for getting the 3 guys that were part of that centenary team. In fact, just if you look at the description underneath our profile, it's got the schedule link there. So if you go into our page, it will take you into that. So I said I would try and help her out with getting the word out there, and hopefully she gets what she's looking for and does really well with this big walk thing that she's doing, which is a massive thing today. So that's what just what you were talking about there, Hoggy. We were busy during the week trying to sort this out. Tomorrow we will have Albert Kidd on, the legend that is Albert Kidd, at 11 a.m. The reason why it's on at 11 a.m. is Albert lives in Australia. He's actually doing a tour of Australia now. I think he resides in Adelaide, but he's currently in Perth. He's doing some kind of tour of Australia. So if you tune in at 11 a.m. tomorrow, you will be able to watch the pod with myself and Hoggy and Albert Kidd, which absolutely delighted to get him. My pal Joe, her dad Danny, I had Danny on a pod maybe 1 or 2 years ago. Danny's for Dundee, Lochee, the same as Albert Kidd, you know, Dundee man. So he's very good friends with Albert, and a big thank you to Danny for putting us in touch with Albert and managing to get this over the line. So looking forward to that tomorrow. So just make sure he's doing it. I know it's early, but it'll be worth it. And you're always going to be able to watch it back as well. So looking forward to that.
Yeah. Aye, Andy, again, hats off to you for the effort there and getting that on the line, mate. And it's something that obviously it's only got to be mean yourself, because the rest of the boys are actually working and unavailable for it. But guys, we want to make it as obviously as respectful to Albert as we possibly can. So obviously we're going to cover all of the Love Street, all of the 86, all of the Celtic type stuff as well. But we will be asking obviously some more stuff about Albert to get a wee bit.
Well, there's a lot more to Albert that make you think, you know, yes. which he told us, you know, a lot of things I didn't know. So it's going to be really interesting tomorrow. It's going to basically be Albert Kidd's story. Obviously 86 is a major part of that, but there's times before that, and there's lots of things happened after that as well. So we'll go through the whole thing.
Yeah. So we're looking forward to that. That'll be a really, really good, I suppose, first guest of the summer. Actually second, because we had Alan on for the band, we had Alan on as well. And hopefully there'll be another couple after that as well. But guys, obviously, as Andy said, it is 11 o'clock tomorrow. We will be live, so the comments will be on as well. So if anybody has got plans to come and watch us tomorrow and get any questions that they would like to ask Albert as well, then just stick them on. Me and Andy will be scribbling down as we go as well. We'll have obviously a few things to ask him myself, but we will crack on there. And Paul, sorry, can you keep you waiting in the background there?
All right, not a problem.
What were you doing silly there, mate? Did you have camera switched off or something?
Fucking the thing that only me and Kev would do on here, because Kev done it before. The wee button thing had flicked across the camera. Something as simple as that. It's an age thing, man. It's an age thing. And I'm working. I've recently demoted myself at work, so I'm back to. I had to get my fancy computer back, so I'm back to my old computer. So if it does stick a wee bit, bear with me. And I look very fucking shiny. That's so awfully shiny looking. But that's it, guys. That's it. Good to be back. It's been a while. 3 weeks, I think.
With Mushy.
Yeah.
I was on holiday. I've watched every one. I tried to go on in Santa Ponds, actually, sitting outside some Italian. I had a couple of babies, so it probably wasn't the best idea. But I couldn't go on. And obviously last week I was across in Edinburgh celebrating the life of the great man James Connolly. So that was always a very fulfilling socialist evening. And then this week's basically been. You did ask me how I was getting on. Did you ask me that? Or am I just diving in? I'll give you anyway. Right, and this week, as you can imagine, I've been banging my head off brick walls arguing with thick racists all week. And just assuming that everybody knew what the term neoliberal meant, and how it's a cancer eating through your society and caused all the problems that are happening about us, but nobody seems to know that and they want to blame refugees. So I've been arguing that all week. But apart from that, a quiet few weeks. So nice to be back.
It's definitely been quieter on here without you, brother, as well. So we're glad to have you back.
I could rant, but I'm not going in the night. I'm going to try not to.
We might find ourselves, let's not make no promises, we might find ourselves going
Yeah,
into subjects
maybe.
as well that we might want to ever rant about tonight, mind you. But
Maybe
the plan
true,
of attack
maybe
for the night, guys, is what we're going to do and what we will be doing is we'll be having a wee kind of season review. We'll go over the kind of main points of the season. We'll have a real good discussion. In hindsight now, obviously, with the season finishing, we'll get that season review kind of done and dusted, and they're going to stick that back up again. But sorry, just to
Can I just say as well, by the way, before we go into that, Andy, super,
Yep.
what a coup getting Albert Kidd, mate. I'm just got it, I'm working. But absolutely fantastic, big man. Just top quality work, mate. And I can't wait to watch it. I won't try and catch it live, but if not, I'll probably watch it a few times. A sad week, indeed, Sean, it is, mate, when you break it all down. But,
so what we'll do, guys, first and foremost, as we always do on the podcast as well, two special big thank yous to go out as well to our two sponsors for the podcast. First and foremost, Adalantes.com. Adalantes, go there, guys, as well, for all your best Celtic, not Celtic gear. Obviously, it is Celtic, but you don't have badges and blazoned of it. That is the sponsor, Des, and the guys at Adalantes as well, where we will give our competition winners and stuff the t-shirts. If you want to go in and peruse that, if you can't wait until you win one of our competitions as well, go to Adalantes.com, have a wee peruse, and use discount code CSP5 at the checkout for £5 off of your order. Second is McFadden Decor. Stephen and the team there, award-winning decorators, painter and decorators. Telephone number is there also. If you are planning on giving your living room, bedrooms, bathrooms, kitchens, staircases, or whatever other fancy rooms that you've got in your houses, then please keep the guys at McFadden Decor in mind. They are award-winning painters and decorators, and Stephen, the main man there as well, is a member of the Cairn Tierney Celtic Supporters Club, which I'm part of as well. A good laddie at that. So thank you very much to Adalantes and to McFadden Decor. So, gentlemen, before we get into the kind of season review and go over the kind of main points of the season, there's a couple of things this week that's going to come out. And Andy gave us right in time, I suppose, for us coming on Friday. First of all, the appointment and the actual confirmation of the appointment of our first-team manager for this season as well, which will be Martin O'Neill. A really badly kept secret, because we did discuss that last week as well, that he was going to do it, but he's now signed up. And on the actually, I'll leave the second part of that as well. So, were you in any way, shape, or form nervous the fact that it took them as long to actually announce it, that Martin was going to be the man for us next season?
No, not really. I think, you're looking at it when Robbie Keane was put out the picture, you knew it was going to be Martin anyway, because Celtic's net doesn't cast very far. You could have made up who they were going to go for. And I said it at the time, whether it's down to Keane pulling out of it or Celtic pulling out of it. I don't think Celtic had any intention of pulling out of that deal. I think it's came from Keane's end. It's been too hot for him to touch, to be honest with you. Now, what the deal was with Martin O'Neill, I really don't know. Did they have him planned to go up the stairs if the intention was to bring Keane in as the manager? And then with that, basically the arse falling out of that, they then went to Martin and basically asked him to take the reins for a year, and then possibly a year after that, which I don't think will happen. We know he's going to be here this year. Very successful last season, very successful when he's come in the 2 times last season, and then he's first term in 2000 when he came in, very successful. So a guy that's going to be very comfortable in that job, but questions need to be asked as to where Celtic's vision is, because we have not got a clue as a fan base what their goals are, what the plan is, what the structure is behind the manager, how much backing is he going to get, what kind of targets are you looking at, is Europe going to be a priority? All this, what we're still to find out. And all that's been up in the air while they were still asking people to renew their season tickets. We absolutely no idea of what was happening. And we still don't know. So I can't even mind what you asked me, but it was obviously today with Martin O'Neill being announced. Why did it take so long? I really don't know. And then there's word in the background saying that the backroom staff, they've lowballed them when it comes to their contracts, and where that leaves us, I really don't know. When it comes to Celtic, nothing surprises me when it comes to things like this. Let's be honest, we've seen it many times, and it will continue as long as the people at the top are still in that position to make these decisions.
Yeah, it's Again, Andy, as you said as well, it's something that only Celtic really could do and make such a good job at making such a bad job of things. But Paul, we've not had you on for a few weeks now as well, mate. So obviously last week we'd spoken, because it was on the Friday last week that almost the confirmation came that Martin O'Neill was coming back on a 1-year deal with an option of an additional year. But prior to that, there was heavily speculation that Robbie Keane, as Andy said, was going to be coming in as manager and supposedly putting together an all-star backroom of Stephen Glass and Scott Brown and somebody else. Yeah. Andy said there as well, he thinks that it looks like Robbie Keane's side of it get kind of cold feet just by the response to that potential appointment, mate, as well. And I know that you're somebody as well who has been vocal on that, certainly in the chat as well. But give me your thoughts, first of all, on Martin returning. And then, you know, obviously it was either him or Keane. What's the decision there?
Well, first of all, it was perfect timing for the pod last week, wasn't it? Well, because we had just got off the train in Edinburgh, me and my Bennett's in the comments, and met one of the boys that we were going up to the commemoration, and he told us that that had been announced there and then that Keane, had been, that the Martin O'Neill had been announced, and it was just relief, really. My main reaction was relief, because I do genuinely believe, no matter what this board or their apologists and amongst their support will say, that the backlash for the fans had more than enough an impact, and I hope it really did, and I hope it sent a message to people the world over that there should be consequence for going and working in an apartheid state, a Zionist, apartheid, murderous, psychotic state. That was everything before October the 7th, by the way. That was before they carried out their genocide. And to see, I mean, he just comes across as really fucking unlikable anyway, Robbie Keane. He just comes across as an arrogant, unlikable bastard. And I think in order to go to that particular club, you would have to be, because they're the worst of the worst. Okay, they're the worst of the worst. I've said it before. We've done business with, cheers, Paul. It was actually pretty quiet, apart from the cup final day. We've done business many times with Israel, and it's never sat easy with me. And I get how a lot of people didn't have as quite an invested opinion up until this last 2 or 3 years, but it's never sat easy with me. The Abadas and all the rest of it. Fucking, I was going to say Berkovic, there's nothing about they want to do that little bastard.
Oh, what a scumbag he is.
Oh, he's just there, man. He's just there. I genuinely believe that. I mean, listen, I'm not going to paint every Israeli far-fetched. I mean, and that's something we need to watch what we do, because that's what our detractors would like us to do: conflate anti-Semitism with anti-Zionism, and the two just they're non-comparable. So Robbie Keane, as for always, it was all about my staff, and I've got other staff and that to worry about. Listen, mate, at the end of the day, you went and you worked in an apartheid state where people are persecuted because of their ethnicity, persecuted beyond any fucking degree of acceptability. So all of that taken into account, when I found out that it was Martin O'Neill, my first reaction was relief. And then obviously then you go into the practicalities of the appointment, what the appointment would have been. He lost a league in a one-horse race, and I believe a few reasonable results in Europe or something projected him into being this kind of savoury Celtic. He wasn't good enough to be our manager anyway. Forget his complete sewer rat level morals that he clearly has as a human being. He wasn't good enough to be our manager in the first place. So absolutely delighted. I mean, it does. I mean, if you want to then put shine the torch on the board, you would have to say two ways of looking at this, I suppose. That shugster, that was just what I'm going to say. It really does reek a lack of planning, a lack of any foresight that we should not be surprised about at all. But it's difficult for me to get away from anything other than relief, because I could just foresee another season coming up. I mean, I like everybody else, I'd already renewed my season ticket. I'd waited till the very last moment, as the collective had asked us to do. That was my protest of sorts. And then obviously we hear about the two Green Brigade boys The 2 Green Brigade boys still being banned. And then this came at the back yet, and you thought, no, it's just going to be another season. I mean, I love a row and I love a fucking a battle as much as the next person. But even I was weary, and I just thought, I can't be doing another season of fucking boycotts and fucking. That's what a nice simple football season next season. And Robbie Keane wouldn't have brought that. Robbie Keane wouldn't have brought that at all. So Hoggy, just a long-winded reply, mate. I'm delighted it's Martin O'Neill, even though I think it's really short-sighted with the board. But I do. It's my ultimate sense is relief, because I didn't want that wee scumbag anywhere near the club. And if it sends a message, to other people that there will be consequence for your choice and your lack of morals and your lack of human values, then good, all the better for.
Yeah. I agree with that, Paul. I think with the conversation that we had last week as well almost was relief. I think because of what Martin O'Neill did last season, it was almost like he earned the opportunity as well because of what he did last season. But when you've got that kind of forward sight to it as well, about looking at, because what Celtic need now is a plan for the next fucking 5 years. And this does not link in with the plan as well, in my opinion at least anyway. A good 5-year plan of getting this football club kind of turned around. And that doesn't quite fit in with that kind of long-term image or long-term vision. I'll come back to Andy, because on yourself, you mentioned obviously the fact that there seems to be, and I always say seems to be because I'd never write or believe a word that's fucking written in any of the national papers, but there seems to be as well a bit of a standoff with the board or whoever it is that's running the contracts, whether it's Chris Mackay and the two fellas that assisted Martin O'Neill last season, Sean Maloney and Mark Fotheringham. Just bringing on Stephen Docherty's point there as well, is that obviously with regards to the terms, Martin O'Neill signed for a year with the option of another year. Generally, a backroom team as well will mirror the contract that the manager has. And what certainly Stephen's putting on there as well is another side to that debate as well, because people are thinking it's just a weekly salary that's been debated as well, but they're wanting to be here obviously for more than a year. Now, with that, it's something I didn't think about myself to that one, Andy, as well, about the length of contract for the laddies as well. But anyway, go into a wee bit more detail as well about your thoughts on Celtic not being able to get a deal with those two laddies, and do you think that maybe Fotheringham and Maloney are asking for more time than Martin O'Neill's here?
Well, I don't know, because remember, Sean Maloney was parachuted into a position he ended up in. You know, he was already employed with the club, so he's already a club employee. Fozzie was drafted in to help out in that situation. Don't think he was, you know, kind of committed to going anywhere else in his career. I don't see what the problem is. Even if it's just for another year, Maloney will still be employed with the club in some capacity.
Well, that's a really, really good point, though, Andy, because it obviously depends on how his contract was handled, but if he's been seconded into a coaching position from the Pathways manager, then this won't be a secondment, this will be a new contract for him as well. So I imagine that would be a full-time position that he would switch to. And therefore, I don't think there is that kind of almost fallback that to say, right, once the years are up, then you go back to doing that, because they can't leave. Again, I don't even know if they actually did recruit somebody else for that position there as well, but do you think that that's playing a part for him then? The fact if he's given up that security of, I suppose, a permanent role with Celtic as Pathways manager to then go? I
don't think Maloney's employment at Celtic is going to be in jeopardy if he goes with Martin O'Neill. Martin O'Neill was only here for another year. I think Sean Maloney will be here in some capacity. I really believe that. Whether a new manager wants him as an assistant or part of coaching staff or no, I think he's in with Celtic, but Maloney-wise, I'm talking about. Fotheringham, I don't know. You know, it seems to be a huge influence in the dressing room. They all love him. The fans love him. They see him as this kind of... He always seems to be a happy character. But also, you know, he's a guy with a lot of experience as well, Fozzie, because he's managed clubs. You know, he's coached in Germany, spent a lot of time there. So he's no, as I said, the last time we brought this up, he's not a court jester. He's not there just to entertain people. The guy's obviously a very good coach as well, very well thought of. I hope that they manage to sort it out. It's a very Celtic thing that, you know, they hit the stumbling blocks with things like this. It should be very simple to sort out. If they guys are looking for a wee bit more money than they did last season, then give them it because they deserve it. You know, look what they done. Look at the effort they put in, the work they put in. So they deserve it. So I mean, obviously we don't know what the situation is or what the stumbling blocks are, or if it's true or if it's no, or what the story is. We don't know, because that's what Celtic did. They put out that lack of information that this is what happens. You start speculating, well, it must be this that's happened and it must be that that's happened, because you don't get any info. I really hope they sort it soon, because we need a firm base to start building on, because we spoke about this last week or the week before. We've got that many bodies going to be in and out at the club. We've already seen some movement already, that it's important to get the stability as soon as possible, really, you know, and really kick on and get the job done, because it's a massive job it's ahead. So things like this we can do without. But am I surprised? No, I'm not. It's Celtic and that's what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Just to add a bit, sorry, Lauren, just to say about what Lauren said about the distance between where they play and that. There's videos of the IDF coming in and showing atrocity sites, basically showed to their players as G-ups, as sort of motivational things. This is at Keane's time. IDF have come in and they're showing.
I've seen that.
I'm not showing where the bombs are going, but they're showing you them firing the bombs, and the players are all sitting clap. This is one of the work. I mean, this is a really horrible, particularly nasty club. We've seen how their supporters behave, etc., etc. So anyway, spot on, Lauren, as always. Just thought I would add a wee bit to that. Sorry, Hoggy, you were saying.
No, I was just got Sean the Mac. Sean, how you doing, brother? Sean is basically saying, and I think it was something that there was a bit of fear getting to the end of last season as well, that if Celtic did manage to win the league and the cup, obviously getting the double in the bag then as well, it's almost, not to say papering over the cracks as well, but do you agree with what Sean's saying there as well, that the league and cup double have made the board think that they've got free rein and almost a wee bit kind of, well, we won the league, what else do you want for us?
Listen, I probably is that Sean? You're Sean. It's usually on.
Yeah.
Right. Hello, Sean. I probably kind of new board. Obviously, I'm going to approach it with for all my militancy and all my fucking big mouth and all the rest of it. Every season I make this, every transfer window I make the same mistake, that I'm going to give them my faith that they're going to do it right this time. And it's kind of where I am now. And it ties in with, I think, James Alan's Viper's point about the Brian Wilson interview. Look, good stuff.
I've got that.
I don't know. Right, if what's said in that interview and what's been said since for Desmond, etc., then aye. But proof we got to back up that they're going to see this through. So my heart says yes. This will be the one that they get right, because they have to. And we've got a champion. We've got a massively important potential Champions League campaign, which we never thought we were going to have, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
It's within touching distance again. We can't fuck that up again. And the only way we can fuck that up really is by not preparing properly. It's like we have done 7 out of the last 9. And that's a horrendous statistic that should always be used to beat anybody up that says that Peter Lawwell has done a good job in his tenure at Celtic. If you couldn't amount of money that he'd have lost out of that amount of failed Champions League qualifications, it's incredible amounts of money. So, but in saying all of that, I still have this. We all do. Every one of us do, because it's why we're here. It's why we do what we do. It's why we spend the money that we spend on the club that we love, because we have this thing that we can't do anything about, this heart pulling emotion that it's going to be all right this time. They'll get it right this time. They'll have to get it right this time. And that's where I'm still with. I'm still in that position of naivety. And I'm but shit, Big Scott McDonald, Big Shed. What the fuck has come through in the thing of there? Michael Nicholson. I mean, how can somebody? It must be the easiest £800,000 or whatever that fucking imbecile gets fucking paid. It's just
again. I've got that on the point as well of the kind of leadership.
Sorry, I'm bad for that. Bad for
you're all good, but that's what we do, mate, as well. There's no point in
I'm just like a machine gun going after me. I'm not seeing you. And by the way, just to say, this will be the last time I use this computer, because even I think I look weird, and that's saying something. It's kind of like a population sort of effect. So I've got a new one for next week.
You're all good, mate. You're all good. No, but again, the thing with agendas for us as well. So, I could have an order written down, but as long as we touch it all as well, it doesn't matter where it is.
That's what normal podcasts do, Hoggy. That's what normal podcasts do. Agendas and all that boring stuff.
Mate, as long as the points are covered as well, I just tick them off as we're going as well. So it's just let's keep the kind of the conversation going flowing there. But what I wanted to touch on, Andy, is just to give you the kind of the shot at that there. What was actually that last question? The free rein. So do you think that the board have taken a position? And this will be a leading question as well, because I'm going to bring the next one into you as well about Brian Wilson's interview. That that winning the league and cup double last season might have been that well. We've done that, and we've not really a lot today there. But Brian Wilson came out with his interview with Jerry McCulloch midweek, and I thought actually, as far as interviews that Celtic have put out as well, I thought actually that's no bad, because it was almost one of the interviews as well. It was the big middle digits out there to Polis, fuck you, Hearts, fuck you, VAR, fuck you, SPFL, fuck you, Tay. And then a wee promise as well about actually they know they're going to be investing in Martin. And he did say something very, very interesting. It was like on the assistance of Martin when they had that conversation, was that he was only going to take the job as well as if he had that back in there. So with him coming out, based on what he's come out and said before as well about communication and getting the fans united and getting the fans back in and stuff like that, is that filling you with any confidence / hope / and expectations? A horrible thing I have to be Celtic. I don't expect anything. I hope to fucking high heavens all the time. But is there any sort of expectation then that you would have based on that conversation he had with Jerry McCulloch about what's coming this summer for Martin?
Well, if it was MD or on the Martin O'Neill, I'd find it very hard to believe. In fact, I still find it hard to believe, but I really don't think they're going to mess Martin about. But then you look at January and you look at the bodies that were brought in and done absolutely nothing. As that backing Martin in January one day, no additions were made that actually made any real difference to the team. They need to get that aspect right for a start. You fully expect Martin to get back, and I think he's probably one person that is going to demand to get what he needs to do the job properly. That's obviously part of the taking the job in the first place. Is he's not going to do it half-arsed. It's his reputation on the line here. But let's be honest, he's putting the jeopardy is what he's putting out there, the trust he's putting in these imbeciles. I really feel for him, because it is blind trust. It really is, because there's no record of them doing some real good business in a timely manner, which is required. This is going to be one of the biggest summers for many a year when it comes to bodies in and out. A huge movement going on at Celtic, and they need to get it right. So I think I believe the board. I really don't trust them. I really don't. But money. They need to get the money out their pockets. This is just a ridiculous situation, and I don't mean spend everything they've got, but they need to make sure they get good quality players in as well. No, just fill in numbers and obscure players and take a punt here and take a punt there. You need some real structure to this and a real system behind the players you're bringing in. It's just going to be interesting to see where is this coming from? Is it coming from? I can't remember the two guys' names that have maybe been in charge of recruitment now, or is it coming from Martin O'Neill? And listen, Martin O'Neill's got tons and tons of contacts. Are we going to go down that route the way we did with Rodgers' wee black book? Martin engaging with people that he knows and getting players from maybe down south or whatever. I don't know how it's going to pan out, but we certainly need he certainly needs the backing.
I listened to, sorry, on that note, Andy, just the magnitude of the job in hand, and I've been on record here saying that, somewhere, that it looks big, but a few right positions here and there were all right again. I listened to Axon when I was just took for a run there, and it was that fella that's on that, frankly, knows far too much about stats. What's his name? He's just a stat machine. Is it Alan Morrison?
Aye.
And he was breaking down, him and Paul John were breaking down the team and where we are and the probabilities of people staying and fitness and all the rest of it. And fuck me, it's quite scary. when you actually break it down. It's quite frightening how when you break it down just how big a job this is. And excuse me, I had to agree with Alan Morrison, but as much as you can agree with somebody that can't hear you. I don't know, this doesn't get fixed over one transfer window. I think we're kidding ourselves on. I think we're kidding ourselves on if we think for a second that every bit of business that needs to be done will be done in this window. And that's even if your board were on point, which they're fucking no. We know that they're useless. And even if we had a board that was proactive and had already had their scouting team out, scouting players, and let's live in a fantasy land for a while. That's what's been going on. The board. Then I think we would still have work to do in January and next year as well. That's it. How much?
I think you're right, and I don't want to jump onto this subject too much because I think next week I want to have maybe a talk next week as well about that rebuilding, about what the club looks like in the playing squad. But we've even touched on that on here, Paul. Is that based on all of our first 11 or first squad staying, then there might be, when they say minor surgery, but certainly surgery that's needed on the team. If the likes of Maeda goes, Hatate goes, Negrin goes, Engels goes as the reports are going, then that is a fucking massive chunk of your team again that's been taken out there. So depending on what business Celtic do, and depending on how successful some of the guys' World Cup is, again, it could be major heart surgery, or it could be getting your knee ligaments done as well. Both of them are big.
I think no matter what, Hoggy, I think it's a bit, no matter what, it's major heart surgery, mate. I think even if we're only half-arsing it, it's still that big a job. When you break, it was quite, when you actually listen to that fella, Alan Morris, thanks somebody that's pointed that out. He's when you listen to him going through the positions and who's there and who's their backup, and it's like, well, you fucker, this is a big task.
Yeah, we'll touch on it next week anyway. If you're all right, obviously we'll get a plan during the week for what that's going to be as well. But during the pre-season as well, we like to get a good focus on the squad, looking at the young players, looking at all that stuff. So we'll certainly get a right good conversation about that. But again, I don't think tonight's the night for that because there was other stuff that I want to go on to. But Paul, I'll stay with you there, mate, because you'd kind of brought the point in from, I think somebody had mentioned it in the chat, in the community. Is that we've seen the appointment of Michael Nicholson to the SPFL board, which is for all of us who were kind of hoping that there would be restructure or change of the leadership of the operations of the club, certainly by that fella getting into that position on the SPFL board as well, would certainly give the indication as well that he ain't going anywhere for Celtic.
No.
So I don't know if they can retain a position in the board without being attached to a club. I don't know if that's the thing or not, but certainly it would give you the indications, Paul, as well, that Nicholson's going anywhere.
Obviously, again, that shows you the arrogance of the bastards are dealing with. So just let's flip it here, and I do apologise for getting anybody the fear here because it didn't happen to win the league. But let's just flip that last minute free kick that led ultimately to us winning the league, the 3-1 goal. Just say that laddie puts in a good free kick, Hertz did it, and then score and we lose the league, which could have happened. No bother, right? So was that already a done deal for Nicholson to already be going into that position already, no matter what?
You would think so, because
it's kind of rhetorical, Hoggy. Of course it was. They're not making that decision just off the hoof kind of in the last couple of weeks. So that's the arrogance of the people you're dealing with, and it also shines a light on the complete and utter ineptitude of the people running the game in Scotland in general that think he's fitting any position. Now, how could anybody? It's kind of like world politics. The Celtic board and that decision is kind of like world politics. Now, everything just it's upside down. What should be right is wrong. What's wrong is right. And this is if any of your line of work, if anybody in your line of work, I know what Andy does. Rough to know what you do, Hoggy. He's rough to know what I do. If we were as bad, if you were a really shit fucking lorry driver, Andy, right? I don't think you would last that very long at your job, right? If you're a danger to everyone down the road, you certainly wouldn't get promotion for being shit at what you do. So anybody looking at that man's tenure as a Celtic CEO, if you want to call it, I struggle to even call him that. You would look at that and say, right, nah, Nick, and how's he still got a job at Celtic? Never mind, let's get him on our board and let's get him involved in the higher echelons of Scottish football. So it shines lights on a few things, but the two things are that the complete arrogance of the Celtic board and Nicholson's cell, and it shows you how close they are to the outside world, and also it shows you how stupid the people running Scottish football are. And yes, Big Rab, we are still board bashing because there's plenty to fucking bash, mate. There's plenty to bash. I wish I was coming on here, Rab, and saying, by the way, what a great appointment that was, and this guy's charming. Look at the boy we've managed to appoint. Look at his record. When you look back, a CEO that's done this, X, Y, Z. Brilliant. That's what I want to be saying about Celtic. I don't want to be coming here moaning about our board. As I said at the start of this, that's one of the reasons I didn't want Robbie Keane, apart from his fucking Zionist tendencies. I didn't want to be going into a season negatively. We've just pulled off a double, and the euphoria that brought was fantastic. And it reminded us, I think it gave us a much needed reminder of what this club is all about and why we love it so much. You know what I mean? And that's the film we want to continue on into the summer. But I'm sorry, they're not making it easy for us. You know what I mean? They never do. They never fucking do. So, yes, Rob, it's still a board bashing.
It's, I suppose, at that level, what we're kind of bashing, I suppose, is, ultimately it's a board decision to retain these guys. But Andy, I'm going to come to you for this. Before we move on to the review part of the show, is a retention of Michael Nicholson in his post as CEO would tend to lead you to the assumption as whether there'll be a continuance of position of the finance director as well, Mr. Chris Mackay, your best pal.
Oh, Andy's mate.
The fucking phone video guy as well, which I know he's no certainly on the CSP's Christmas card list, never mind yours. Oof. But to have no review, at least, or maybe there was a review and they've been looked upon as being done the job kind of properly. But for there not to be a review of anybody's position, that if you're getting, and whether this is all just noise and off art and no job kind of thing as well, the fact that we've heard across Celtic Podland as well that there was instances last season where there was deals negotiated supposedly by managers, and I'm not going to say which managers that were out there because it's all subjective, it's all fucking rumours. But supposedly there was deals done by managers, and then hand over to the guys that go and dot the I's and fucking cross the T's, and they go back and try and lowball them. Now, if that's your CEO and your fucking director or your director of finance who does all that stuff, then that's a bit fucking much to say that they've in a position that you'd say, yes, you boys, you've done a really, really good job. Costing these multi-million-pound players because they're like, again, after a deal's been agreed, to get back in then and potentially try and get that deal done a wee bit. That's fucking nonsense. That's mental.
Aye. I think that's what you get when you get Nicholson and Mackay together. You know, number crunchers. One's a lawyer that's no fit to be a CEO. The other one's a number cruncher that his job is to keep costs down. And as far as I'm concerned, that's going to be the purpose this season coming up as well, is to get wages down and all this carry on. It's always going to be their focus. The fact that they both, you know how I feel about Mackay, I think he's an absolutely despicable character. Just his actions alone, he might do a good job at Celtic. I don't actually care, but he's come out in public and tried to embarrass Celtic fans with his actions. He would be the first, and I've said it many times before, I don't like to tour him, but he would be the first one. Right out the door he would go, just for his contempt alone. Yeah. Nicholson is a mute. Listen, I don't really care who the CEO is. Nobody should really care who the CEO is. If you do your job, nobody even cares what your name is. But the problem is, we do know who he is because you never hear anything fame, you never hear any word about anything, you don't hear anything about a plan. Usually, a CEO would maybe come out and give you, this is my aims for this and that's good, then you let them go on with it, and they're successful, and then you don't care about them again, it doesn't flag up. But the way things have been, it's pretty obvious that they are way out their depth when it comes to progressing the club forward. I love Martin O'Neill, but you're almost taking a step back or going sideways here. We're no progressing when it comes to a vision for the club. Nobody knows what direction we're going to go in. How many times have we went back for the same manager and get back in time again to, is this what we are? I think that there's a real lack of planning. And let's not forget, Brian Wilson's going to retire. So there's a position that needs filled. What's his name? Allison, his position's going to need filled. So maybe they've looked at that and meant there's too much here, change here. That's why we'll keep them on board. Because the other positions are going to get filled.
Ross Desmond will come into one of the positions, so we're all right. We're all
Do
right.
you know what? You could almost like guarantee that, couldn't you? You can guarantee it, and then they've got a cheek to talk about unity. This is just a couple of weeks after they banned Celtic fans, after inviting them back to help us win the league and talking about unity, and then as soon as the season's early, by the way, you're only getting back in, which I think was an absolutely shameful move.
Remember, I was talking about the start. Sorry, Andy. Remember, I mentioned at the start about the term neoliberal. That fucking sums up those Desmond little scumbag up. Exactly, he bleeds neoliberalism. A horrible little bastard that just devours everything in front of him for profit and fucking hates everybody that's know him. A horrible, vicious little bastard.
Fucking damn you, billionaires! Damn you, billionaires!
Despise a little cunt.
Aye, listen, there's a lot of billionaires with a heart and a social conscience and a moral judgment as well about them as well, but certainly money and power. I'm sure there's some.
The thing is, Celtic's a PLC, right? But it's really a dictatorship. Let's no kid on here. This is Desmond rules the roost, and whatever he says goes. So if we think that the board have any influence over what happens, as long as Desmond is got that ruling fist out everybody, it really doesn't matter who the CEO is, because Don Mikhail, as if he was pushing to, change things at the club, and that didn't fall very good for him. He lasted a few months and he was out the door. And we have the candy are in the house, gentlemen.
Yes,
welcome aboard, brother. Welcome aboard. But it's a position that where we are with regards to kind of board and restructure that. You would have thought that would have been naturally with the way that events happened there as well, with the culmination and the success there, but the culmination of what fucking happened throughout the season as well should surely anybody that's going in there with any sort of analysis type, and that's the type of work that I do, is business analysis and all that stuff. If you're looking as well for any way, shape or form as well for your business to continue in a profitable or successful way as well, it needs to be reviewed all the time. And you need to look at that business change process, and if there's anything in there as well that's showing that this can be done better, good analysis as well will tell you what needs to be done there. And I think it doesn't take a fucking business analysis or anybody with any sort of business kind of acumen to them as well to say that something's not quite right in that club now. And there is, Andy, maybe it leads straight to your point. The fact that as a public limited company, which is literally a dictatorship, where one man who's not the majority owner, minority owner, but controls the fucking roost. Maybe that's what it is as well. The fact that it's certainly Dermot Desmond's word on every single thing that goes in as well. But
can I just pick up on Big Rab's coming with a couple of things for the side, and he's obviously quite rightly pointing out the I suppose the contradiction in principle in people like myself and like yourself, Hoggy, that have once again rolled up and spent, in my case, just shy of £700 on my season ticket, and Rab's questioning, I think, kind of getting at the thing that you're just playing into their barry, as we would say. I don't know if that's a saying used through the West, playing into somebody's barry, and playing. You're just giving them what they want, basically. And you didn't use that saying, no? Playing into somebody's barry. No, fucking strange crowd through there. Anyway, and it's supposed to be the dark says you're fucking strange. But anyway, so doing what they want, and I get what Rab's saying, but then it's your club, Rab. Okay, I mean, what do we do? Do we just roll over and admit defeat? And there's that thing that I've always said that Celtic have got, that very few things in your life have got on you. That they've got this emotional tie. My missus always points it to me. Louise always says to me, because Louise likes Celtic, don't get me wrong, but because of the fucking amount of time and hours and money and heartache it's brought to this household, she kind of went off it a bit after a wee while, right? Because of all my level of commitment. But she'll always say to me, like, your politics, socialist and all that stuff, fly in the face of football. And she's right. She's ultimately right. But that thing that Celtic's got, and the thing that's so important as supporters, hence like when we stick up for like the Green Brigade and all that stuff, is because that's the soul of the club. Not that group of people in general, the principles, the politics that we believe in. And I know there's a lot of people that are kind of falling off the bar. I'm going to use that term again. Falling off the wayside with that. And that's why it's so important that fans like us didn't give up and didn't just roll over and give into the corporate fucking lackeys that may be standing on the sidelines waiting to take your season tickets, and remain the militant solely the club that we all were brought up. And the thing that attracted me certainly to Celtic was the politicisation of the support and what we stood for, and also our social conscience. And these are the things that Ross Desmond and the world would like to go away for Celtic. So no, Rab, I will buy my season ticket every year. Even like I said on a couple of occasions with anger last year at certain times that I wasn't doing it. I will always buy my season ticket, and I will always rabble rouse for inside. And the more of us that do that, the better, and make sure that the club will remain in the same standard as it should be, even though the board are running into the ground and all, etc., etc., etc. The heart and soul of Celtic is hugely important, and we're moving that away. Simple as that.
No, listen, there'll be many and much opportunity for us to discuss that as we go on throughout the course of the pre-season, and look forward to getting Celtic back in our lives again. I think we all do need that few weeks break and a few weeks off.
Oh, definitely, mate.
Let's come down for that season there. But it's certainly it won't be very, very long. 7 weeks, I think, is actually for this weekend, until Celtic kick their first ball in the SPFL. First or second of August. I think the Saturday's the 1st of August, the 2nd is a Sunday. Last season, I think we kicked off on the Sunday, which was strange as fuck, because usually the winners of the league would be the first ones up, get the fucking the flag and all that stuff. But
it's Hoggy's the qualifiers before the season start.
I think so, but I'm not 100% sure, mate. Again, my head has been so far away for Celtic and for even the bus stuff. I've still got account stuff to do with the bus that I've not actually looked at for the last 12 days at the end of the month there as well. So I've been so firmly away from the fact of Celtic stuff. The only thing that's retained my interest in it is obviously with you guys in the pod. But yeah, again, we'll have a chat about that. I don't actually know. If anybody knows, guys, again, you know our pod as well doesn't have all that information to add. If anybody knows, let us know when the first qualifiers are, to see what we're starting back there.
Champions League qualifiers.
Yeah.
It's 6 to 7 days for the day. However long that is. And I know this because I saw them their countdown, the daily countdown.
So that'll
be a couple of weeks into the season and a couple of weeks into the season.
It's
nearer the end of August, I'm sure, Hobby, rather than the beginning. 7
weeks this weekend as well until that's 49 days.
67 days.
It's going to be 67 as well, then a couple of weeks after that. But gentlemen, we've had a wee chat as well about the goings on there of Celtic, and as I say, we'll talk much more about the squad and about the makeup of the club as we go on as well. But we've got a wee bit of a season review that we want today, and in the past as well, we've looked at season reviews and we've looked at stuff and you know, and we've kind of cut it up as well month by month, and we've done that as well. Again, I don't want to be as pedantic as that because, again, I think there's much better chat to have than just looking at the situational stuff as well, or the events that happen throughout the season as well, because I think that will lead to much better conversation. And plus the fact as well, we've got a bit of hindsight in there to know that when these things happened as well, you don't know what's up next, you don't know what's coming down the line. But certainly we'll take a wee look at certainly some of the instances and events throughout the season, and we'll have a good wee chat about that as well. So, interestingly enough, as well, I was in Asda car park 2 days ago, and guess who I saw? Big John Kennedy, and a big fucking beautiful big fucking motor. But you might know what he's done. And again, John, I know you watch the podcast as well. We love you, big man. But your parking is fucking atrocious. He parked right in the middle of the road. Look, motors, look, get up in the car park. He parked right in the middle of the road talking to somebody. And I'm like, mate, obviously you're a big deal as well, but you're not that big a deal with the blocking.
I've heard he's a hard bastard, so watch what you're saying, mate.
Hey,
I'll give you honours, but I'm a distance away, mate. But I've heard he's one hard bastard, so
I've heard that as well. I played football against years and years ago, mind you, as well, with John. But his brother Ryan was a fantastic football player as well. He played for Cleland, which is a very known kind of like Catholic area, area as well, Cleland as well. So yeah, getting the fisticuffs with a guy against Cleland as well. We left back as well, was booting things up and down the place as well, and he came into the penalty box and I booted him and he tried to jab me and I jabbed him and he jabbed me back. One of the ones. But anyway, we start off the season as well, and we were under the guidance of Mr. Brendan Rodgers and John Kennedy. As I was saying there, Andy, I'll come to you first with this one, mate. But I think the writing was on the wall for Brendan because of some of the comments that he'd made, which has come back to bite me a wee bit as well. But obviously, Brendan was wanting to progress Celtic. He's been very, very vocal in the fact that he wanted Celtic to be progressive, wanted Celtic to challenge Europe. But during the summer, he was given no backing at all. He had mentioned as well that the season before, I think we were playing with Scud at Man City, and the likes of players that he had in that game as well, like Kyogo and stuff. And he wanted players in that he was not given the option or opportunity to buy in there, and started then coming with some things like Honda Civics and the likes there as well. So thinking back now to that moment of hindsight as well, was Brendan right in what he was saying with regards to the fact that maybe he was putting out there as not being backed as much as well, and certainly there was maybe a difference in opinion from where the board was to where he was. What's your thoughts on that now, looking back from a position where we are?
Let's be honest, you know, the type of football Brendan was playing wasn't good to watch. It was incredibly frustrating. I think it took a long time for people to get over the fact that he was actually back at Celtic as well. And then as time went on, I'm thinking, I think he might actually do the 3 years here, you know. But again, it didn't work out like that. You could say it wasn't back properly. But when was the last time we actually did back a manager? I think Big Ange got a bit of a back in there. But let's be honest, he popped players for a league that he knew. That a lot of them were players that he knew about, you know, in a market that he knew about. It didn't come from a recruitment system. Yeah. But so the backing that Brendan had in the background when it comes to going finding players and suitable enough. Look at the amount of players that was put at Brendan's door, and you know were kind of forced upon him. One of you could look at Callum Osmond. You gave the boy a chance and he looks good and he looks a very good player. And then that turns back towards Brendan. Go, is he just doing it out of spite? What's the story here? Is he doesn't he fancy him? Doesn't he think he's going to fit into the way he plays? I've got to be honest, when Brendan did eventually go, I ended it was a bit of a shock at the time, I suppose. Well, a lot of people were really surprised. But I'm kind of glad it happened. Even though the turmoil that happened throughout the season after that, I think I'm glad it happened because I really couldn't watch the football anywhere. Maybe they are looking at it from the point of view thinking that this was all going to happen anyway, so you're not going to invest millions of pounds into a manager. There's a good chance that he's not going to stick about. Maybe that's it.
Maybe it is. And Paul, Andy's got a really, really good point there as well, because it's like Brendan Rodgers was very, very rigid, and I'll be talking for a bit, mate, as well. So take your time.
I shouldn't have beaten when I'm on the. I'm in the gym. Shut up. Chocolate ones.
But Andy's right as well that Brendan played certainly a formation and a system that was very, very rigid. You know, there wasn't very much fluctuation away from what that system was. And he's right as well that the football you were watching was pretty poor. So for you, when that came to an end as well, was that a surprise for yourself, or did Brendan have the right system to play the football we hoped to see, but just wasn't given the backing and bringing the appropriate players in to fill that system?
I remember the night that it all happened, obviously, and we bounced on here and had a right old rant about, obviously, the statement and everything else. And again, my feeling at that time was kind of, I can only remember there's been that much went on since then. You're trying to remember as all this season because there's been so much went on. But I remember at the time being thinking, right, the Garden God, surely, mate, the Garden God, surely. But I remember it being relief again was my emotion because I think we just lost Dundee. Was it Dundee game? We just lost 2-0. 2-0. Let's played off the park. No fight, no nothing, and it just looked like the end was coming anyway.
Yeah.
How that came about. This is what again. You've got to. This is when putting any blind faith in this board is just ludicrous. Because obviously he was promised the earth as well. I believe judged on the three big signings that he'd made the previous season, which were obviously Engels, the Adamida and Trusty. And again, if you're looking at the signings and then compare them to trophies won, there were three great successes. You know what I mean? They did about that. So I thought that was always a bit of a stupid sort of stick to beat them with. But the style of football was what done it for me. It was just so ponderous. So what was it they got called again? The horseshoe death. Yeah. And it just looked as though that's how that came about though, because it came for. I still as another so much a Celtic thing that you bring somebody back and that you're desperate to get back. Apparently, he's desperate to come back for redemption, which I think there was. I think his ego would suggest that would be the case anyway. And then all of a sudden we just seem to do exactly what we did the first time he was here, which was empty promises. Depends who you believe, to be fair. I know Rodgers has now got a reputation amongst the support. He's been untrustworthy. I think he's very egotistical, very narcissistic. I think he's definitely that. But he's dealing with Dermot Desmond, who has all the things and more. And I think that was the ultimate thing. You had two really narcissists battling it out with each other. And there's only going to be one winner. One of them's the majority shareholder.
Oh, I just want to touch. Sorry, mate. I just want to touch on the video that Smell the Glove is talking about. This was just a piss take, really. It's now sitting at, I think it's 350,000 views since last night. It's just mental, man. That's on Twitter. Just the nonsense you put up that people watch, man. It's just unreal.
But Andy, that nonsense is fucking top quality nonsense.
Aye, funny.
I don't do. Andy, I don't care if there's any way you could. Oh yeah, did you put it on your?
I shared it in the chat. Aye.
I didn't do that X because of that fucking vampot that's got it. Although I know again principles and morals are hard to have. I do fucking Facebook and Zuckerberg's just as bad. So it's a cunt trying to have principles. But anyway, so no, I was pretty. I was surprised when it happened. I think we were all surprised. Sorry, Ben, I'm going to stop there. Fucking addictive, you bastards. Get on the road. I was surprised, and I remember being quite happy at the time, and almost. I must have been really anti Brendan Rodgers because I remember him being that pissed off at the statement. But with hindsight, that was totally fucking out of order. He completely destroyed Brendan Rodgers. And then we move on for there.
And I think, Andy, I'll actually, Paul, I'll stay with you. This one makes a start with Andy there. One of the things that we did in the pre-season as well, and obviously we had the timing before as well, but Dr. Football, Paul Tisdale, was in position at that time as almost football and recruitment, career ownership as well. And that under his stewardship, I suppose, with regards to the kind of recruitment and stuff, again, I think that you can see certainly for what I thought as well, there was certainly differences there, although Brendan Rodgers says as well the two of them work really well together. But for the fingerprints of the team largely to be seen, which would have been Tisdale rather than Brendan Rodgers, because I think Brendan Rodgers was looking for a profiler player and certainly looking for a striker at that, whereas he's basically recruitment guy didn't deliver that for him. Now, I'll not get into the next appointment as well because I want to have a wee speak about Martin O'Neill, but Paul Tisdale, there's certainly a part of the season as well, which I think we need to discuss that laddie and what part he played in what culminated in the most tumultuous fucking period of watching Celtic that I can remember in a long time. So with regards to kind of Paul Tisdale, was there any successes you could say that man could look back on and say, that actually was no bad part of it, or was his reign and his position at Celtic just a total, let's move on?
Did he get us Nygren?
Nygren, yeah, well, yeah, you can say Nygren, yeah.
But a disaster, an absolute. And it was always, it was his part of the time. He was always going about how, my clubber and all that. His clubber was fucking horrific, man. Fucking something like a fucking Charles Dickens book or something. I remember at the time again, it's that blind faith that we talk about. I mean, the things that I've called wrong over the years and will call wrong in the future about Celtic are far outweigh the things I get right, because of that thing that we want everything to work. We want Paul Tisdale to be this football doctor. I remember saying he's got that arrogance about him. I like that. I didn't mind that in somebody. Because we want it to work. And it fucking didn't work. And we do know that he bumped in. The reason he got the job was he literally met Dermot Desmond at a wedding. Is that a well-known fact? You know who I was talking to last Sunday? I think I don't mind me saying it was Paul John for Axel in the gym. I don't mind me saying, but that was confirmed. That's how that relationship begun, by meeting each other at a wedding. You can imagine what the pair of pricks are, don't they? Because Deadman thinks he's a smooth cunt too. Imagine the club of the two of them were cutting about with. Fuck me. But that's that was literally where the relationship begun, and I believe there was also a contact that's ended up getting Nancy. So just all really amateur hour stuff. You know what I mean? Somebody with so little credibility in the game to be given such a powerful position. And you get what you get. And you end up where you end up because of these decisions, and that's what has to. I hate to bring it back to Downer, but that's what kind of has to worry us moving forward. Because the same as people, every single person, less Alison, I think, are in the positions that they were in when all these really, really poor decisions were made. And there's been no accountability for it at all. It's actually beyond belief. So not a fan of a boy.
Yeah, aye. And it was under Tisdale as well that we went for the next permanent. But the first, let's say the first becoming of the Messiah, seen Martin O'Neill step back, and when Brendan ultimately made the decision to resign, which was whether it was pushed, whether it was shoved, whatever happened there, I'm pretty sure, Paul, I'll not say much about that, but I'm pretty sure there'll be some things that will be coming out about that whole situation for Brendan as well. I'm pretty sure there's still a story to tell. Knowing Brendan, I don't know Brendan, but certainly the ego that Brendan has. That's certainly finished.
I know, and I know I wasn't going to touch on it too much as we said in the chat, but I do know that there's apparently not been a non-disclosure agreement signed, and that comes for the horse's mouth apparently. So again, there's stuff that you hear, but as Paul's right as well. Certainly we've heard it for Paul. That there was no NDA signed as well. So I think there might be a case of sitting on his hands on that one just now. But Andy...
Well, I've got to be honest with you, Hoagie. I couldn't give a fuck what he's got to say. I really don't care. I think we've got bigger things to worry about than what happened with Brendan. I really couldn't care less. Sorry, mate.
No sorries needed at all. I second and third that comment.
Ultimately correct, big man.
Yeah, I think the horses bolted with that one, mate, as well. If they came out and said something within a week or 2 weeks as well.
At the time, it's too long gone.
But when you're waiting a year or so as well before you come back.
By the way, just to make it even worse, apparently at that point he pointed into his villa and says, "They look like I need the money," just to make it even worse. That's the sort of prick you're dealing with.
But that's in keeping with what we already have heard about the man's ego and stuff like that as well.
And the fact he's been pictured dressed like a fucking shake and all that, over there.
And as somebody pointed out, by the way, and rightfully so, we've dug up Israel for they're the fucking Champions League winners. They're the Real Madrids. The fucking horrendous fucking acts of horror against individuals. But Brendan Rodgers has went to Saudi Arabia, and I know he's touched on it last week. I'm not going to go too much into it, but there's a massive moral thing there as well. But it shouldn't surprise anybody. Yeah,
mate, anyway. I think, and the reason I've not really got kind of into it too much as well, and I think we can all agree in the deplorable acts of some kind of actors involved in the world politics and stuff like that as well. You get back to a certain point in time as well, and everybody's had fucking something like that going on as well. There was a comment as well for somebody earlier on, I think it was Stephen Docherty as well, was mentioned as well. You get back as well in England, went in Britain, had went and fucking killed and slaughtered and stuff like that as well. So, there's certainly a point in time as well where you could throw those darts at certain.
I had this debate with a neighbour of mine the other night actually. That was having this. It was about Jota going to Saudi Arabia and the lack of morals and doing that. I was kind of sticking up for him, saying, "Listen, young lad, fucking Ken." Would I do it? I would like to think no. I think I would, to be fair. But the thing is, I mean. You're right. Then why you be watching the World Cup in America? It's a country that's sponsoring a genocide as we speak. A country that's I should say individuals within that country, because again it's really unfair to spray the whole thing. But individuals in that country that have just created chaos in the world, since in the last 2 or 3 years. So So I mean, it's hard to. I try my best, but it's very difficult to have morals and principles and stick to them all the time. Because you're right. With players playing England because of the fucking the fucking British Empire, would you with the Spanish Armada? You take your pick. You know what I mean? If I go back, the Romans, then they got the Roman play because of the Romans. Iceland, lovely. It always gets a good press that the northern European countries lovely to stay in, and that they're probably the most barbaric of everybody. The old fucking Vikings coming in the longboat. So you could, you know what I mean? You could take it to ridiculous.
You could. So there's many periods in time as well where you could say countries have acted like Huns and their Hun behaviour has been on show as well. But we'll move past that Hun behaviour that these countries are shown as well. Andy, the first return of our Messiah came after Brendan Rodgers left, and Martin O'Neill steadied the ship. He steadied that Honda Civic, took it into the garage to a good mechanic as well, got a bit of work done to it as well, and certainly turned the boat in the right direction as well for Celtic. Looking back now at seeing the first return as well, would you have ever envisaged that there would be a time, not only a matter of a couple of months down the road as well, that he would be coming back into us? And talk to us about Martin's first spell as manager as well. Do you think Martin did what he was supposed to do? Did he overachieve what he I suppose he thought he was going to do, and therefore made the rest of the season, I won't say pan out as it is, but certainly went steady the ship and left a really, really, really good plate of food on the table for the next one to come in, because he left them 3 mouth-watering games to get his Celtic career really, really kicked off it. But before we get into that, Martin O'Neill's return, did you think at that time as well that was the safest pair of hands that Celtic could have turned to, given the fact that he's now obviously advanced in years, he's got that reputation, he's got that legacy at Celtic, and people were at that time concerned that he's going to come back in and potentially, upset that legacy that he had?
Aye, I think we were all worried about that, because it certainly came out of the blue. I mean, nobody was expecting Martin O'Neill to come into the picture. He hadn't been in the game for about 6.5 years. We've been doing a lot of kind of media stuff, touring around and doing talks and stuff like that, which he's very good at. But the fact that he came in and then you're getting a lot of the fan base that obviously heard stories about Martin O'Neill, and it's very easy to go back and look at footage, but never actually experienced Martin O'Neill in the Celtic dugout and being the Celtic manager. It's almost going back in time. It's like you want to see what it was like being a Celtic fan with Martin O'Neill in charge. Come on, there's a wee sneak peek.
Lovely, isn't it?
I think you could see the change immediately. You could see that a real directness about the way the team were playing when Martin came in. All right, the football hadn't changed dramatically, but you could see a slight change when it came to the purpose of getting the ball up the park. It changed as well. You've seen that. And I think Martin, when he got asked about it, said that, and he continued to say that throughout the season, that he didn't want to change too much too soon. Unfortunately for Nancy, when he came in after that was his problem. It was too much too soon with the young players, and it simply didn't work out. They didn't grasp it. But Martin O'Neill knows how to get the best out of players. That's what he's always been very good at. He's a really good motivator. So at that time when you're down, you're getting the supposed owner of one of the shareholders absolutely slaughtering the manager. No matter what you think of Rodgers, I think it was an absolute disgrace that Desmond came out and said that publicly, using the club as a platform today. I think was embarrassing, and it was an absolute disgrace that shouldn't have been done. So the fact that he's coming into the fallout for that and try to get the team together to try and get real performances at them. I think once it was announced, I was like, I'm liking this. It's like getting back to the kind of good old days.
Yeah.
But again, it was always going to be temporary. We were told that it was only a stopgap until a full-time manager was brought in. But I think, he done that well, that people were, we discussed it on here. Just keep him. Just keep Martin to the end of the season. Now, don't change it. Just keep him. And you just wonder at that point, because when you look at the season in a whole, he got to 2 finals and he won, he won one of them. He was in charge when we lost the League Cup final. That's another story. But so I think overall, the majority of fans were were delighted that, very surprised, but delighted that it was him that was going to come in and take control for it a wee while at least.
Again, I think anybody that would have been in I suppose, been around Celtic and a fan of Celtic when Martin O'Neill was in his first tenure as manager as well would have been happy with the fact that you've got a trust in there as well. That's a safe pair of hands, and it's a great point you make with regards to in hindsight as well. Now, even back then, it was like, why are we making that change now? Everyone settled down, let them run to the end of the season if that was going to be a goal there. But Paul, ultimately, we did not keep with Martin O'Neill. Martin O'Neill came in and settled the ship as well, and got us into a position as well where the new manager was going to come in there, and you couldn't have asked for a better start to a new manager coming in there, right? New manager comes in, scout it, known by Paul Tisdale. Paul Tisdale's done a really, really good job in convincing the board as well that this is the next manager to lead Celtic onto that next stage or that next level where we should be, and left them in a position as well where you had a Champions League game, or sorry, a Europa game, you had a derby and a cup final as your first 3 games. Now, what an opportunity that is for the new manager as well to stamp his seal onto the team and to show that he's got the minerals and the balls to manage a team like Celtic. And it didn't quite work out that way for Mr. Nancy and for Celtic, Paul. So I don't want to spend too much time on it as well, because I think we've exhausted and we've given the exorcism to the ghost of William Nancy in the part that he played there as well. But for that period there, was there any sort of bright light or shining light as well about actually this could be something that could work? Because I think you spoke about the Celtic Rangers game at Celtic.
Yeah, I was going to say that. The 45 minutes that me and Andy spent together, well, we spent the 90 minutes together, but the first 45, Andy, didn't we? We thought we were on a winner here.
Yeah.
Not in general, because you were always waiting on the wheels coming off. Every game after, I mean, Tannadice was obviously the again, was just the stage too far with one of the most connect. We've had 2 poor Tannadice performances I've seen. The first one under Nancy was just every game kind of repeated the same pattern. First half you would usually played well, kind of on top, and if you didn't get that second goal, which inadvertently we didn't, and the other team scored, then the team just you could literally see the confidence draining out them in front of you. And my abiding memory will be Austin Trusty 3-on-1 at least 3 or 4 times up at Tannadice. He's on the defender and he's got the 3 attackers up running at him, and that was you can't. I mean, again, it comes down to what I've always said. Again, people being so bad at their job, and there needs to be accountability for this, because somebody okayed that, right? And if again, I've said this before, if I'm going out to watch Nancy's team, I'm probably quite impressed with them, the way they played and the reputation they had in America and all the rest of it. You obviously had the tools for that particular job, but there should be so many different phases that then needs to pass through before it gets okayed. And obviously Paul Tisdale would appear to be the first one, but that seems to be where it began and end it, because surely anybody with a football brain, and I know that could be the sarcasm, should be noted when we're talking about who's made these decisions, would say, right, listen, this guy plays a style of football that, you know what I mean, entertaining to watch, and with the right personnel, could work, but we just didn't have that personnel the new, so we can't appoint the fella the new, we need to look elsewhere. That should have been the conversation. Simple as that. You know what I mean? As simple as that. But no, we didn't. We go in and appoint them, and we try and then put the square pegs and round holes. And you see players like, and that's where I do genuinely believe that the season just about, that's such a big league win, because the amount of trauma I think that team suffered. Players that were winners like Callum McGregor, that all of a sudden were asked to play this system, and they were just getting run out of the toppy, and in some cases embarrassed, like Motherwell, the midweek game, the first midweek game. There's tales of seasons, and there's tales of teams and tales of games, and Motherwell and Dundee United are both of them, because the 2 of them are pivotal in the season. Obviously, the first Motherwell game we get absolutely humiliated, 2 going on fucking 10 really, and then obviously we'll come to the better memory of that one. But No, you didn't appoint somebody that's no fit that doesn't have the tools for the job. You know what I mean? It's just as simple as that, and that's where I think, Tisdale's been the sacrificial lamb for that, but it needs to go higher up the chain. And he's been proven to be incompetent, but there's an incompetent person, put him in position, interviewed him, put him in position, and gave him the power to make these decisions, and that's just no fucking acceptable.
Yeah,
really, isn't it?
I think that there's certainly kind of accountability that needs to be taken a lot of it, but I think, and Gary Simpson as well, they're changing record. Gary, yeah, I know we're going over old stuff here, buddy, as well. I don't want to spend too much time.
It's not the season, Gary. You know what I mean?
We did say we're going to do a review of the season, mate, as well. And the good thing about this, Andy, and I was just going to say there, is that the start of all this stuff and the culmination of all this stuff was made that season ultimately what it ended up being. It was an absolute fucking cunt of a season to get through, mind you, as well. But it's I don't want to get to the end of it too much now as well. But certainly all of these things thrown into the mix as well, made for the season and for the actual achievement of the team. So let's have a wee kind of end of that one as well. Wilfred Nancy experiment as well certainly was attempted, and with the right will in the way. I don't think anybody appointed the man with the intention for him to absolutely kind of blow it, or for Celtic to capitulate as much as they did.
Yeah.
They did play fucking absolutely fantastic football for 30 minutes of a game. But when you've not got a striker there to finish the chances, when you've not got the personnel, as Paul said, as you're playing the positions it should be, when you've got Austin Trusty basically being your one defender and then striding up the park as well with the ball and coming out of position there, it just seemed as well that, yes, there was a lot going for Wilfred Nancy from that attacking point of view. And I think, I don't know who it was that pointed, I don't want to say names because I don't want to get accused of favouritism or picking people here as well, but there was somebody back then as well to say if there was actually anybody that did a wee bit more homework on Nancy, you'd see his defensive record was one of the worst in MLS. Yes, he might have scored a lot of goals. Yes, he might have won a cup here and there, or won a cup for teams and won games. Defensively as well, it was pretty porous. That defence was pretty porous. But anyway, the Wilfred Nancy experiment ultimately ended. And the second return of our Messiah, Andy, I'll come back to you for this one as well, where Martin O'Neill was kind of, let's say, roped back into coming up as well to finish the job that he started. To take that, which was once a shitey Honda Civic, it went to a souped-up Honda Civic, and then Christ knows what he come back to the end up with as well, to take that back to the mechanic. But it was very, very interesting that you seen the impact of a man, and this is where I think as well that a lot of credit goes to Martin O'Neill, because it was the same players that he played and ultimately came straight back into that team and won games, won in Europe away from home with teams, you know. So ultimately, what was your thoughts then in Martin O'Neill coming back into it? Do you think that this was a here we go again, typical Celtic, break glass if the fire goes, and it's like Celtic just going back to the well all the time as well to bring in the same people and expecting a different outcome from things? Were you sceptical at that time, or were you thinking this should have been a decision we made actually before Nancy came in? Neil should have had that.
It should have been, but hindsight's a great thing. All I'm glad about is that they did, sever it when they did and didn't leave it any longer. A lot of people would say he actually had too much time. I was quite willing to give Nancy the time because I'd seen a wee bit of his football and heard people speaking about it, and I thought that could possibly work, given you've got the right personnel to make it work. As you said, we weren't scoring goals, and if your game is outscoring teams and no worrying about what's happening at the back, you need to put the ball in the back of net. Ultimately, some of the football was nice at times. The amount of chances we passed up because we couldn't put MD to put never had MD to put the ball in the back of the net. And the way you're setting your teams up, they're wide open at the back, and the players just aren't good enough to follow that plan. I think it was too much too soon. So then they make a decision, and fair play to them. By doing that, they had to admit that they'd made a mistake in appointing them in the first place. So obviously, where do you go? You go to Martin, and Martin comes in, and then you just know. I mean, the damage it was, when you think the damage it was done. I think was it Nancy's first game against Hearts when we had the chance to go top of the league, and
yes,
he messed it up. So that's the state that Martin left us in. And then he's going to pick it up again after the total unravelling of the work that he had done is something that he's come in. But as I said, you know, if you're going to put your trust in somebody to come in that can actually do that job, then it's going to be Martin O'Neill.
Yeah.
We've already seen him do it in the same season, but it just shows you how much of a season, how much of a mess up this season is. See me, when you think about every single event that's happened this whole season, it is unbelievable. Like it's probably a 1/2 when you think of events that's happened within a season, and the fact that we've still got to the end of it and get successful is just a miracle, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it certainly has, mate. It certainly has. It was, and Paul, with regards to kind of Martin coming back in, and sorry, I've got to hold my hands up as well. I said the first 3 games as well was Rangers, the European game, and then the cup final as well. It wasn't Rangers; it was the top of the league clash, Hearts. So yes, I apologise as always. I do not have my stats correct and in front of me as well. I missed that one up there. But Paul, take me back to yourself, mate. When Martin O'Neill was coming back in, was there any kind of hesitation, reservations for yourself on O'Neill coming back in to step in there for the rest of the season, or were you happy that again that safe pair of hands was going to come back into?
Bobby, absolutely. Aye, absolutely. Again, the relief we spoke about that I'm being reappointed again instead of Robbie Keane. It was a very similar sort of feeling that you know what you're getting. You're always going to have that, and we'll have it again this season coming forward. You're always going to have the last things we have worked. No, I don't think so. But you would always have. You're still going to have that worry that moving into this season that it doesn't work, because of who he is, what he's achieved, and all the rest of it. But it's Martin O'Neill. That's what he does. He wins games of football. He's dragged unfortunately the worst Celtic team to win a league. That might be the case. I'm trying to think of a worse one. I can't really. By the way,
Paul, see when you put it in that context, that it's the worst Celtic team we've seen in many a year. That's just meant to be the best Hearts team we've seen since
of course, Andy,
1960. You know, so how much have they improved, and how much have we dropped to level that out?
I didn't really particularly. It's probably the worst Celtic. I've heard folks say it's the worst Celtic team I've seen. In fact, my vintage, it's like, get a fucking grip of yourself. I mean, player for player, as I said towards the end of last season, we still had a really good team, as we proved in really important moments of the season. But there was still that fragility right through till the very last kick of the ball, almost. Literally the last kick of the ball, because that free kick goes in. That Blair Spittle, who's usually got a very good delivery, by the way. Yeah. He puts that free kick in better, and we could be having a completely different conversation. Franny, I've seen far worse Celtic teams, and player for player, there's James. Player for player, it was still a decent enough Celtic squad. I just needed somebody like Martin O'Neill to come back and just do what he could. And I didn't think, I know, but watch these teams and also listening to him in interviews, he didn't want to mess about with anything anymore, because the players' heads must have been fucking fried, man. Yeah. The heads must have been fried, and I know we just think you're football players, you should be able to switch it on and off. Sorry, but if your professionalism's been put in doubt so many times, and then you've got the glee that comes with that we've seen turned into anger at the end of the season when we eventually turned it around. The glee is Celtic going through and this should never be forgotten, the glee that so many commentators and general Scottish people in Scottish society were taking out of the difficulties we were having last season, ultimately adds to the absolute rage that we then seen when we turned it around and won the double, which makes it so sweet. So yes, happy Martin O'Neill was coming back, because I know what you get with Martin O'Neill. I think with the players that he had at his disposal, there wasn't a lot of what you would call Martin O'Neill type players in that squad. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't the big solid centre half. There certainly wasn't the big centre forward up front. Players that you would always. There wasn't the Neil Lennon type midfielder. He never had any of that at his disposal. And these are pivotal things, I think, of Martin O'Neill's, and I hate to use the word ideology, but football philosophy. I think they're very much cornerstones of his philosophy. Ken hard at the back, solid in midfield, and obviously he had Henrik Larsson up front his first spell, but he also had big units in the boot him. Yeah. And that's obviously how he likes to play his game. So he never did any of that. So Martin O'Neill was working with a squad of players that probably, if he was to go out and pick them to suit a style that he wanted to play, very few would be in that, and still managed to drag us with the help, obviously, some players really stepping up to the plate to a double, which was just wonderful.
So, and before we kind of jump onto the player stuff, there's a few things I just want to kind of cover still with the season in review. Is that I think for spells though, when Martin O'Neill came in, it wasn't as if when he came back in the second spell as well that carried on from where he was and was basically flawless throughout the course of the season as well. I think there's still games as well that Celtic just did not turn up in some games as well. Defeats were still coming. You know, performances weren't great. You weren't being I suppose, witness to fantastic Celtic football at all. But the kind of last 8 games of that season as well, then there certainly was something that happened there. I know I'm skipping over things, which I'll come back to in a wee bit as well. But the difference then between Martin O'Neill taking over for the kind of second spell and getting to just before those last 8 games of the season and putting yourself in a position there that almost you're kind of saying we need to actually win 7 or 8 of these 8 games in order to win the league. So to then go into a position as well where we have went and won those last 8 games of the season. And again, it's not by again, football wasn't pretty as well, but is there anything that you can say with regards to what would be and the difference between how Martin started that second tenure and how he finished it? Was there anything in that?
I'll tell you exactly what it is. Getting the injured players back had a big say in what happened there. Obviously, Martin's got a lot of credit to take because, listen, there's a lot of games that we played in his second term coming into the club. We were no stealing results, but there was a lot of last-minute goals getting scored. Yeah. And that's his influence on the team. They never give up, you know, making them believe that they can win the game to continue on. I don't think we had that belief under Nancy. There was just total disbelief in the squad. But I think getting AJ and that back, you know, and getting players back for injuries and, you know, Osmond and stuff like that, I think in the end was the difference getting the important players back. AJ especially, I think. And let's not forget, a lot of people had things to say about Tierney as well. We had a fantastic season. Tierney played a lot of games, played a lot of minutes, and pitched in with a good few goals and assists as well. So I think he actually had a tremendous season, KT. But just having that, I know Araujo, you know, totally got it, but see me, you get AJ back and you can see the quality there. There is a bit of a gap in quality between Araujo and AJ. And he was banished anyway, Araujo, so that doesn't really matter. But you could see that the change in the team, having him in the team, he's definitely one of the leaders. He's a driving force. He's totally committed. And so I think overall, getting the players back was never going to forget that, are we?
Tremendous, man. Fucking absolute moment. One of the moments of the season, and the right the reminders over the attack for me.
I know. We're going to sort out another writer sheet, but you know, there's only so much fucking ridiculous stuff that you can come up with. And actually try to fit the facts in there, you know, is probably more difficult than anything.
Yeah.
You've got to keep writer sheet as well until it's like absolutely no forgotten as well, but it's like a good few weeks between each as well, because that's
too good. It's too good to overplay it out. You know what I mean? Oversaturated.
Paul, again, I don't want to spend too much time because again, I'm just mindful of the fact we've got some awards that we want to get into there as well. But for yourself, I think that the story of the season for me largely always with the managerial going arounds and merry-go-rounds, and what came there was the relationship between Celtic and the fans, and obviously we've seen for 30 odd games. Was it 30 odd games? 32. The Green Brigade as well were banished from.
That's unbelievable, isn't it? That amount of games. It's just an absolutely shocking position to be in.
Yeah. And there's and listen, everybody's got their opinions, and that's fine. Again, we don't want anybody to be coming and giving us tight or anything as well. We're just stating it as it is. the Green Brigade obviously were banished, and many people agree with the Green Brigade. Many people were against the Green Brigade and the allegations that was laid against them. I think those allegations are largely unfounded, certainly unfounded as well, because they're not actually there. But the story for me, Paul, with this one, and I'll come to you to kind of take this on, mate, is the fact of that broken and fractured relationship suddenly getting a few band-aids and bandages run about it as well, to kind of put it in a position as well where it could work again. Might not be at the best as well, but what I would say is that the culmination of those last 8 games, or however many games that the Green Brigade were actually in there for, there was certainly, I think, anybody that would have been at Celtic Park as well on those games, and you've been, especially where you've been doing in the section, would have absolutely seen the difference that was made in that stadium, because largely that stadium as well was ghost towns each week as well. Very, very quiet, very weird being at Celtic Park as well. And fair play to Boys Celtic as well. Done their hell of their best as well to try and carry that singing on as well. But certainly it was a huge, huge thing in the run up to that season. I think Brian Wilson said it in his interview as well, that you know, getting that Celtic fan, the Celtic fans and the Celtic team all pulling in the same direction was absolutely pivotal for us in that one. And the power of the Green Brigade as well, I think, was shown there for anybody that doubted them. Again, I think show them that last few games there as well, and the difference they made in that stadium. Yes, would you think, mate?
Listen, Hoggy, obviously I'm not going to go right back to the reasons and all that stuff, but just concentrate on the positives. And again, it's one of this season is full of so many massive contradictions. Contradictions that I don't think I've ever experienced in an emotional sense through football in my life, and I've been through it all. And one of the massive contradictions is I never thought through all the. I mean, I missed a lot of games through choice because of I didn't want to go because of how the group had been treated and all the rest of it, and just how unenjoyable an afternoon or an evening at Celtic Park was when you're just getting outsung by any European team that came, and anybody that brought any fans with them that wanted to sing were out singing the whole stadium, and it got embarrassing, and I chose through more embarrassment than principle, if I'm honest, to stay away a lot of the time because it was just no enjoyable. But then to have that Huns game and to have that final game of the season, and I'm going to say it again, and I'm not going to start greeting that, but I could feel the emotion in me, because that was one of my most special days watching Celtic ever. That 20 minutes that I keep going on about, scoring the goal, to just the love round about you, about your supporters that you've stood with for ages, and some new, and because in the section it can change a lot. Obviously, it can change from fucking week to week, no matter where anyone decides to stand. Because that's one thing about the section, you've got a seat or a bit, nobody really stands in their normal place, and just that 20 minutes will live with me forever. Just the amount of love, the amount of emotion, tears, sitting bubbling at 53-year-old, sitting with my bubbling and crying. I'm talking bubbling, right? And I thought, I mean, if you told me in January that I was going to be sitting in May bubbling after just seeing us winning the league, I would have thought you insane. So again, what a fucking season! Just what a season! The most mental season there's no season that I can think that gets close to this season when it comes to. I was going to say the ultimate highs, but the majority of the lows. Let's be fucking honest. The majority of the lows up until that last 6 games, and even within that last 6 games, was. Oh, I cry all the time, Kev. Just no shame and cry. I love a greet. I fucking greet at fucking things on the telly. Can't spend the money on things.
Paul, do you think Netflix and maybe Amazon or whatever's missed a trick with no kind of following this season? If you had a behind the walls thing with what's going on this season, would have been absolutely epic to watch that as a documentary, wouldn't it?
That would have been brilliant, Andy, but that would need a bit. I mean, to be fair, I'm going to get bored a wee bit of slack there. I didn't think anybody would have been. There you go, Andy. You couldn't have literally have scripted it. You couldn't have. I don't think you could have scripted this season. You just the emotional, as you know, I go to most games. No, all new, but I go to most games, and feel like being at Ibrox watching the most turgid 0-0 to being on the park, sorry, hands up, after the penalty shoot, to getting beaten St Mirren to getting losing the cup final to St Mirren to then going and winning the Scottish Cup, to basically Hearts being all but crowned champions in like January. You know what I mean? February, March, again, they were the somebody keeps calling them the People's Champions. That's People's Champions means you're fucking losers. So keep that title all you want. Just everything. You could literally write a fucking book about this one season. The amount of mental things that happened on and off the park. Just and to win it, as I say, to win it, and with Martin O'Neill back, and even him being back. I mean, even the man that we all fell in love with, who changed our club, root and branch, when he first in his first. That's what for me and he's by a distance, the second best Celtic man.
I think when you look back, Paul, and you see Martin O'Neill jumping along the touchline at Celtic scoring goals, it does take you back to his first era. You know, the way he just leaps up in the air, and he's obviously.
And again, that adds to the whole thing, because then you bring in nostalgia, which is one of the most powerful emotions you'll ever get, is nostalgia. So then to have that nostalgia and the Martin O'Neill coming back and being able to say to the young team on their bus, forgetting that folk at 23, 24, 25 that have been going to watch Celtic for 10, 12 years in our cases, we'll look at the young team on their bus. And they didn't know about, well, they knew about Martin O'Neill, obviously, but they'd never seen him managing Celtic. So, and that's what I mean about that 20 minutes, because it's a lot of your young team are in the section, because as you know, I'm 53 going on about 13. So that's my crew in the section, you know, the young team. And to be surrounded by them and to be grabbing them and telling them this is what it fucking means, because they've never seen a title race before. They'd never seen a title race. Never mind one like that. I'd never seen one like that before. Even 86 wasn't like that, and it was kind of,
I know that. I know.
It was a bit more straightforward 86 in this one. Win your games, you win the league. Hearts need to drop points. That's it. But there wasn't any madness, and there wasn't the chaos or everything that enveloped this whole season. So,
Paul, can I just say, what you mentioned about nostalgia there as well? I will take that moment here as well to interject and say, if anybody is interested in nostalgia, we have got an absolutely fucking top-notch guest lined up for tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. on the Celtic Supporters Podcast. We have got Albert Kidd.
Wow.
Albert will be sitting with me and Andy tomorrow discussing events of 1986 and all other things as well about Albert. We want to find out a wee bit more about the man himself.
You're going to find out a lot of things that you didn't know about Albert that I didn't know, so I'm really looking forward to chatting to him.
I didn't know he was Lockheed. There you go, just found that out tonight.
Well, I don't know if he is actually for Lockheed, but Danny that put me in touch with Albert is for Lockheed. I'm going to find that out tomorrow. I don't know what I wanted to wait to the pod and we've put some questions to him that we're going to ask him, so he's got a rough idea, but he volunteered information that we'll touch on, and it's just something I'll find out for him how that all kind of came about. I know he's from Dundee.
What we want to do is we want to retain the CSP-ness about any interviews that we're doing there as well, so it won't be a boring sitting as well. So where were you born? You know, what did you do here? We'll try and keep this as CSP as we can, guys, but again, loads of respect to the man as well. He's certainly folklore as well, one of the most famous non-Celtic players in Celtic football. But Paul, one thing you mentioned there as well before the nostalgia thing is about the peaks and troughs and the ultimate kind of high. The ultimate highs only come as well if there's a bit to go from where you are to where you're
exactly.
And Celtic throughout that season as well created our valleys. They created the bumps in the road as well when you fucking fell down a good bit. But I agree with you. I've not been going to watch Celtic nearly as much as yourself. I don't see Celtic as much as yourself. But in the 25 years or so that I've been going to Celtic Park, I'm going to watch Celtic with my season ticket. It certainly is up there as the most emotional game, that last game of the season that I've seen as well. I've cried many times at Celtic Park. I've cried many times at Celtic Park. No, we won't skip you on.
Sorry. I just don't
CSP-ness. All right, aye. Yes, James, we'll try our hardest, mate, to keep the CSP-ness in it. All right, I get it now. I get it.
Aye.
CSP-ness. Typical you, wiper, fucking picking up that stuff. Yes, the CSP.
I think obviously with Albert being on, just touching on the game at Dens when Bomber Brown obviously played in that game, and Colin Henry as well played in that game. Tosh McKinley came off for Albert Kidd to come on.
His manager.
Archie Knox was the manager, and
Alec McDonald was the Hertz manager. A wee hun fucking
Jim Duffy played in that game as well. Aye, it's quite interesting.
Honestly, boys, I can't wait to watch it. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not talking to you. I'm going to build my excitement up for tomorrow.
It'll be a good one. But guys, obviously, it's going to be live tomorrow. So if you can join us, then pop your questions in on the live chat tomorrow, and we'll get as many to Albert as we possibly can. But it's going to be up on our YouTube page as well. So if you can't get to it live, get to it when you can. It will be a really, really good view, and hopefully one of a few good guests that we've got lined up over the season.
Yes. But just on Rob's point there, would you do a sit down with Kenny Miller or Mo Johnson if they would do it? The answer to that is I would, Rob, as long as I was close enough to punch Mo Johnson right in the fucking throat. Right in the fucking throat. And that would be the only thing I would. My one thing I would have to be agreed to.
Graham, that's certainly one of many questions that I've got kind of lined up, and me and Andy's got a few questions lined up as well.
See, the thing that happened at Love Street, you know, Johnson or the Rat, as he's known, got a couple of goals that day, and one of them that he scored is actually one of the best team moves I've ever seen. With McGrain and McClare and McStain, all that involved, and just an absolutely amazing goal, and it just ruins it for me, the fact that he's the one that put it in the back of the net.
See a goal that would have went amiss at Lodge that day was actually Albert Kidd's second goal.
Exactly. What a goal. What a goal. Yep.
Second goal's a belter, isn't it? Anyway.
He done well. Constructed that goal himself as well. But yes, guys, again, we'll get back to that tomorrow. We'll get plenty of conversation tomorrow as well with one of Celtic's biggest icons who never actually fucking played for Celtic. And again, I think he's a Hibs icon as well. The Celtic supporters club, which again never played for Hibs either as well. But that's what happens when you fuck Hearts.
Yeah. Yes.
Let's be honest. But gentlemen, again, we've gave it a good week over doing a season review. So I didn't want to get into it too much, just the main points of the season as well. Let's have a chat about that as well. But what I want to kind of go and listen, we have not came to an agreement at all here. So this is very much off the cuff decision making we're going here. We have got 3 awards that we are going to be giving out tonight as well. The first one of those awards as well is going to be the special. No, actually, we'll go for the CSP Player of the Year. Guys in the community, if you're still with us, I know the World Cup's going on there as well, so I appreciate you hanging on with us, but we want your input into this as well. There's 3 men on the panel as well, so it kind of divvies it up. If we get 2 going for 1 or 2v1 as well, then that person will get it. But Celtic's Player of the Year, voted for by the club, was Benjamin Negrin. What I want to know is, gentlemen of the CSP and community of the CSP, who was your Player of the Year? And would you agree with the players at Celtic and the fans that voted at Celtic as well, that Benjamin Negrin would be taking that award for you guys? Paul, I'll come to you first for this one, brother. Who would your CSP Player of the Year be for Celtic?
Purely on his last 6 games, Dyson Maida. Won us the league. Simple as that. Listen, we asked, as always, I just can't give an answer. I'm going to give my reasons for. We needed somebody to step up. Listen, the same fella who played like he'd never seen a football for the first half of the season was asked, and you could see the change in the man. He wanted this as much as we did. I think for his legacy, and I think as a thank you to us, and probably because he felt a bit shit about, and I'm totally surmised on these things, this is just my take on it, that he was so bad in the first part of the season, and he stepped up. Not bad shout, by the way, for 2 years. Very underrated for me. No, in general, but just this season has been great for us. But Dyson Maida for everything he'd done at the end.
Let me say, I'll tell you what the 3 awards are going to be actually, just in case there's maybe a player that actually should be going into one. We've got the overall Player of the Year. We've got Impact Player of the Year, so the person that's actually provided the biggest impact during the season, and then a special recognition award. That's the 3 I've got for these. We're going for top or best goals. Your 3 awards tonight are overall Player of the Year, Impact Player of the Year, and special recognition for their contribution over the course of that year. So, Paul, you still saying Dice Maida gets the vote for you or Player of the Year?
Aye, yeah, it has to. I'm just leaned out there in the fucking real. I'm not a tight bastard betting Martin means, but the missus has got the fucking heating up through last year. Fucking June. Fucking burning money here. Fucking hell.
I went and reprogrammed my heating actually the other day as well. It comes on for a total of 15 minutes a day. It's like 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 5 minutes there. I've got a heated blanket sitting in that living room as well. So see if I'm called, I get that blanket over me and put the fucking switch on. And then I'm going to get the dog. He's a tight fisted bastard as well. So bring it on. Bring it on. But Andy, Paul has went for Dice Maida, which again, I don't think there's anybody you could argue against that we're going to name here because everybody's got their opinions and how they impacted the season and how they did. Their Dice Maida certainly the end of the season as well. If the end of the season, if the last 8 games of the season, Dice Maida had played all year, we'd be looking for about 50 million pounds for that lad, didn't we? But we've got Dice Maida for vote number 1. I'm looking at the community. The community. I'm going to say Scales is probably leading the way. We've got Scales, we've got KT, we've got Dyson, we've got AJ. Who for you would have taken the Player of the Year award for yourself, mate?
Well, I'm in Paul's camp, but since you've kind of separated there's 3 we can pick for, I'm going to change it. I'm going to make KT my Player of the Year, because I've slotted other players in elsewhere. So I'll go with KT as my Player of the Year.
KT, this is going to be a strange one, by the way. Because of the other awards, I'm not going to give it to on this one. Either Dyson Maida or Kieran Tierney. I think that.
Can I just?
Sorry, Paul. Yeah.
Well, this Big Rab makes a good. Big Rab's contributions have been great, and I've not agreed with them all, but they've been very good. Maida turned up for 8 games, but still that miss cost us the Champions League. Aye, you're right, Rab. You're spot on, and I think that was the period of the season that I'm talking about that he was playing like he'd never seen a football before. Is it understandable because of he was out the door, he'd been promised a big move to the German team and they pulled it, you know what I mean? And I think that's why we get to the end of the season, and I think that's why his determination is so laser focused, literally, with the goals he scored to get us on the line. So, you're right, Rab, I think he got us. Again, there you go. There's, again, a massive parallel with the season of parallels. The part that's mental. So he costs us pretty much the Champions League with his one-on-one twice with Kairak, right? Once at home and once away for the one away for him. I can see it yet, just still. Then he wins us the fucking league. You know what I mean? So there again, there's your contradictions to this season. There's so many of them. It's mental. It's absolutely mental.
Yeah.
Ultimately costs us at the start of the season and then wins us at the end of the season. So
yeah,
what a fucking season.
What the fuck is he? And this is where I think I'm going to do a wee bit of tactical thing here as well, right? Simply because of the votes, I'm just looking through there as well, that Liam Scales has got the most votes from our community there.
No issue with that.
So, I know what I'm going to do. Because I love our CSP community as much, I'm going to say I would give that to Liam Scales, which means Paul's went for Dyson Maida, Andy's went for KT, I've went for Scales, and you want to know who settles it? The community settles it.
Liam
Scales is the Celtic Supporters Podcast Player of the Year 25-26. Well done, Liam Scales. And
I very rarely take getting beaten in anything so easily, but I can accept that.
That's I was going to say there as well. I think he's one player that, yes, he may not hit the heights of your 8s and 9s and 10s out of 10s every week as well, but the heart the guy's got, the determination, the resilience the lad said as well from when he started there. Again, you can't argue any of it because it's all opinions at the end of the day, but I'm happy enough with our Celtic Supporters Podcast Player. We move on to Impact Player of the Year now. So Impact basically meaning what player across the course of the season has the biggest impact on that season. You could say it's Arne Engels coming back for injury as well, and kind of given us that the legs it was needed there. You could say it's Dyson for those 8. You could say it's Sriracha. I've seen Big Rab was saying Sriracha off the bench. You could say Tarecki off the bench. What an impact that lad had off the bench as well. You know, so Andy, I'll come to you first on this one, buddy. Impact Player of the Year. Who for you?
It's got to be Maida for me, you know, and towards the end of the season, scoring in every game, you know, that's if that's not an impact, I don't know what is. Without him, we don't win the league. It's a simple fact, and that's why I went for KT for Player of the Year, because when you mentioned Impact, he's the first guy that came to my mind. Maida.
Paul, what about yourself, brother?
For me, you've got to have, it's between two. The first one's pretty straightforward. That's Iniacho. And probably will be my ultimate choice.
That's a good point, actually, Paul. Good point.
But what about Callum Osmond? He's come on and won us. He's come on and he's got an assist and a goal to win us the league. Would they get them? Would they win the league? You can't get a bigger impact than that. So I'm going to go with Iniacho just for his consistency and his impact. And listen, and also one of my favourite moments of the season. You know where I'm going with this, Motherwell. Now, listen, I was at Motherwell. Indulge me for a minute on this. Just indulge me for a minute, because I don't think I've had the chance to say this shit. I was at Motherwell, as many would have been here, and it's the first. I'm talking greeting at football or crying at football. Do you say greeting through your neck of the woods? Is that
yes.
I need to double check these words. Right, so I have only fainted once, literally. Big trouble, Steve. I've just been on the phone to the big man. If he's in the comments now. When that wee bastard that I'm only going to refer to him as scored the second goal, I literally stood up to leave and my legs went for me. That's how hard that hit me that game, and it's still a dark memory, even though but being at Fir Park then under the same manager, there's your contradictions again. There's your fucking. The season's full of them. Moments like this that you can compare to other massive moments in the same place that meant so much in a different way. And this is another one. To get that victory in literally the last kick of the ball at a place where I had the single worst afternoon in my life watching Celtic, which it was. I've never had a worse day than that. That helicopter, Black Sunday helicopter Sunday pish, just getting beaten in Motherwell, and so to then go and the circumstances that came about, forget all the pish that came after it. It's a penalty all day long. We score it. He steps up and the big man does what the big man does, and there's nobody on that park that I want to be taking that penalty more than him. There's nobody there that I've got more confidence in than him scoring that penalty. And I'm watching that, and I'm saying to the folk round about me, this is a moment I personally need. We've been selfish. This is a moment I personally need to get over what happened all the years ago in this same stadium. I just wish I'd been up the stairs, because it was up the stairs I was when that happened, and that would have really just sealed the deal. I was downstairs, but that was just so. So sorry for going off on one, but it's just a very emotional thing for me to think back. And again, the parallels, contradictions, the moments we've had this season in comparison to things that have happened either this season or seasons past that have been massive in their impact, and that was one of them. So, but sorry, long story. I'm going to go with Iniacho, even though we didn't win the league with Osmond, but Iniacho.
I'll keep mine pretty straightforward. This one as well. Again, Paul, there's so many different people that's provided their own impact in ways as well. Osmond, Iniacho, Maeda. You could say Nigrin for his goals. You could say Engels. You could say KT. You could say Scales. You could say Sinisalo coming in as well. You could say AJ coming back in. There's so many people that's got a shout for impact of the season. But I think for me, I need to go with the player that over the last period of that season as well, when we needed somebody to be there for us as well, to score the goals, to be that crux, to be that conduit for us to get the 8 victories as well, to score in those 8 games, to put the performances in those 8 games, the impact that's had us all. I think Guys and Media for me takes that award as well. So by 2 votes to 1, and again, it wasn't as clear with the community as well who they were going for.
Wipers on
Guys and Media.
Sorry, Wipers on form today in the comments, like he's on form today in the comments for Jamesy boy. Simple answer. No what in War and Peace. You can't be too well, but
Diza Maida takes the Celtic Supporters Podcast Impact Player of the Year. And the last one is one that we have a special recognition for. This is somebody, again, who, in your opinion, has contributed in that season as well, for they deserve that bit of recognition. Paul, what you've mentioned there about Iniacho could very much go as well with special recognition as well for being that player. Andy, there could be many other players as well that we could go into that as well. So I'm going to kick this one off. Okay. I think a special recognition for the player actually who took the Players Player of the Year and the Player of the Year at the Celtic Awards, I think a special recognition goes to Benjamin Negrin. Now, Benjamin Negrin is not a player that many people love. He is a player that frustrates more people than I think they love him as well. But without the goals and without the assists that laddie popped up for Celtic this season as well, we would have been nowhere near it. So I think a wee special recognition for me goes to Benjamin Negrin. I could have said KT. I would love to say KT because there is special recognition as well for the barrier that laddie could overcome. We're coming in for injury hit seasons, Andy. You said it, 50 odd games this season as well, the amount of minutes in the park. Iniacho for his contribution as well for being a 30, whatever age he is as well, kind of unfit guy to come in and have the impact that he has. Yeah. But I'll keep it nice and simple there. Mine's is going to be Benjamin Negrin for the special recognition.
36 apparently. 36.
36, yes. Andy, special recognition for you. Who's it?
I'm going to go with Liam Scales. Because I went for KT for Player of the Year and Maida as Impact Player. But I think I've got to mention Scales and a bit of recognition there, the job that he's done this season. And I've never been kind of a big fan of Liam Scales, I would say. But you've got to take your hat off to him and say that, you know, I think he's had a very good season. So that he's my player for special recognition.
And Paul, finish it off, mate. Who's going to win that one?
All great shouts coming through. It's hard. Nygren, you're right. And for somebody to be so shit at football but score so many great goals, big goals, is just something else. He's a complete enigma. But I'm going to go with Sinisalo, you know, because I didn't get anybody else's went with him, and I'm probably just doing it because it's. But I'm thinking back to like his performance at Ibrox. In the cup game when he was absolutely sensational. He's came in when we needed him to come in, and he's over the pace, even though he needs to get the ball at his feet fucking quicker if he doesn't mind. Thanks very much. But he has stood up when he needs to stand up, and I think his performance at Ibrox was a very surprising fucking top class performance in a really hostile environment. So just to be a bit different. I could be any of these players that were mentioned, and there's probably more deserving, like Nygren, because without Nygren we didn't win this league. Without Diaz Maida we didn't win this league.
Yeah.
Without KT did we win the league? Maybe still. You know what I mean? So there's players in there. William Scales, did we win the league? Maybe still. But there's one or two that you didn't win the league if that's without them. I'm not sure if Sinisalo fits into that bracket, but I'm putting him in it anyway because I think he deserves to. He stepped in a difficult time of the season and he's done fucking pretty well.
Mate, he's there. You've put him in there as well, so special recognition there goes to Viljami Sinisalo.
Well, wait a minute, what's this for Kez? What's this, Paul? You're sounding like Michael Nichols, so what the fuck's happening there, Kez? That's some slanderous part of there, big man. I'm not sure what I've done to deserve that, Kez. Come on, son.
I think this vote here is probably the hardest one because again the 3 years have been split on who that we feel as the panel deserves that as well. We went for Sinisalo, Scales, and Negrin. The community again is there's a few Scales in there, there's a few Negrin, there's a few KT, there's a few Arajos in there. There's a special recognition as well for St. Martin O'Neill, which again we'll keep Martin O'Neill out of this as well. He's enough recognition after this podcast as well. But do you want to know what? I'm going to make an executive decision here, Paul. The fact that because that one as well was not the obvious choice, I think it needs a special recognition itself. I'm going to basically call a bit of order here and say I'm going to go with Viljami Sinisalo for special recognition for what he to come in from because he followed Kasper Schmeichel. Now again, Kasper Schmeichel had his detractors and stuff, but to come in and not only maintain the level that he did, but actually improve it a bit. I think there needs to be a special recognition for that because he came in with not a lot of football in his belt at Celtic. So, Paul, on your shout, my friend, the special recognition award for the Celtic Sports Podcast goes to Viljami Sinisalo. Here we are. The awards are done. Gentlemen, we have been going for 2 hours and 5 minutes and there's a World Cup match as well, which people are going to. So, very last thing, we obviously are back again. Me and Andy are going to be 11 o'clock tomorrow morning with Albert Kidd as well. But, gentlemen, before we go tonight, Paul, Andy, is there anything that you wish to say but we've not covered yet?
I would just like to say, so I'm not going to end on a political thing. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Obviously, we've seen what happened in Glasgow during the week. with shouty fucking racist wee fucking Neds running about pretending they've got some sort of concern for the general public. There's a counter to that tomorrow in Glasgow. Stand Up to Racism, I've had my issues with them over the years, to be fair. They're leading it. But it's got to be a lot of good people there. Unfortunately, I can't make it myself because I'm working. But get along and show these cunts that this isn't about you, that these cunts don't own your streets. If you can go along, get along. And remember as well that there's a difference between having concerns about levels of immigration and the impact that has on your public services and your housing and whatnot, but that's a neoliberalism that causes all that in the first place. But there's too many people piggybacking this with their just rank racism and trying to dress it up as concern. They're racist bastards. So if you can, get along and show these cunts that are out our streets, fuck the fascists.
Good man. Andy, in for yourself, brother?
No, I'm good, mate. I'm good.
Cool. We'll call it there, gentlemen. On a podcast where we have discussed the word nostalgia quite a bit and told some of our stories, there'll be many more stories that we will kind of come out over the course of this pre-season or post-season, whatever you want to call it still as well. But one of the things I just want to end it on as well is that life's all about stories, guys. Life's all about the stories as well that you can sit and say to your pals and say to your Waynes and say to your Grand Waynes and stuff like that. So, guys, bask in the stories that you have gained throughout your life. Have a wee smile. Think back to them all. Think back and smile and just remember, I was fucking there and I done that. And see if you've not got good enough fans yet as well. Give us a shout. Come on to the CSP as well. And we'll give you a good fucking story to tell your Waynes as well. You are part of the CSP podcast as well. So, gentlemen, as always, stay safe, stay blessed, stay Celtic and stay CSP. So,
good luck tomorrow, boys. Can't wait. Pass my love on Albert, kid. Pass my love on Albert, kid.
Well done, my friend. Well done, buddy. Guys, see you all tomorrow. God bless.